Hello, hello, hello. Happy Tuesday. We are here for Care for the Culture. Just gonna wait for Kayla to get in the room. Hi. There she is. Let's get Kayla in here.
Hey,
Hey,
how are you doing?
I'm doing okay. How are you?
I am doing pretty good today. Glad to see you. Happy every time this works. I don't know.
Right, because sometimes it be acting like it don't want to work.
IG Live be tripping. So happy to see your face.
Yeah, me too. Me too. So today, y'all, we are going to be talking about being Black women and business owners. But before we dive in, let's do some introductions. I am Katrina, aka Callie. I am a holistic healing arts therapist in California and founder of Manifesting Me Wellness, which is a holistic mental health organization here in California. And this is my co host.
Hi, I'm Kayla. I use she, they pronouns. I am a yoga teacher, yoga psychotherapist, founder of The Well Healing, which offers holistic wellness for queer Black people of color. Happy to be here.
Yeah. And this is our February live. I can't believe we're already in February.
And
Let's
we're
start there.
about halfway through
Right. Like it's almost over. Yes.
Zoom in.
Um, but happy Chinese New Year for those of y'all who celebrate. I know that just passed. Yeah, I think some of us, I know last time I mentioned I'm still diving into the New Year's. So some of
Right.
us are still coming in from the New Year. If you are just landing there, whether that is Chinese New Year or just, the New Year. Also, happy Black History Month or Black
Happy
Heritage Month.
Black History Month to my peoples. Absolutely.
Yeah, this feels like a really important topic to talk
Mm.
about during this month in particular, Black
Hmm.
History Month, and talking about being an entrepreneur or business owner as a Black woman specifically. So, yeah, I was thinking about what we can talk about in this conversation, and I was like, I don't think that you and I have ever personally talked about our journeys really,
Ooh.
and I have no idea how long you have been in the entrepreneur
Ooh.
game. So maybe we'll start there. How long
Yeah, I
has
love
Kaylee
that.
been an entrepreneur?
I know. I don't think we have keyed about that before. So, I definitely got my start with yoga,
Mm,
really wrapped everything up and got the ball rolling for me. So I started practicing yoga when I was in my last year of undergrad, so around 2014,
mm,
and came back, and obviously the practice had a huge effect on me. So I was doing it all the time and just sharing my journey, had folks around me, community, be like, hey, can you teach a class, show us this, show us that? And I was like, no, I can't. I barely know what I'm doing myself. So was able to get into yoga teacher training, and I
mm.
start there because I think it gave me my first real, um, not that it's tangible, but a sort of offering that I could be very specific
Sure.
about. And so from there, 2017 is when I founded The Well Healing, and it started with me just offering yoga and meditation classes and also informally hosting like community discussions. I had already been very
Mm,
involved with the Black community, Black political community nearby. And so it was really just the perfect alignment of everything coming together in me. Then realizing from there that yoga had such a profound connection to like mental and emotional wellness. The political
Absolutely.
activism I was doing had so much to do with mental and emotional wellness, even if that wasn't a direct conversation we were having in the room.
Sure.
And I was already in my undergrad studying psychology. And so that's what also took me on the path with some other things. This is the very like succinct
Right.
version of the story. But that's what led me to then go and pursue being a therapist.
Mm.
And so putting sort of all of those different things together is what birthed the Well Healing. And I always share that, you know, I'm the founder, which is true. In my truest sense, I consider myself a co-founder with my ancestors, and that this work is
I love
so
that.
deeply rooted and founded in my purpose, which is to support the truly the wellness of Black and queer people of color. And so from there it has just blossomed and grown as I have grown. And this even feels like a perfect time to share that as of yesterday I passed my license exam, so now we are a licensed.
I'm so excited for you.
So yeah, things just continue to grow. And so
Wow.
that's essentially the journey and sort of how I found myself here offering not only the yoga classes and holistic education workshops, also now therapy. Been in private practice for three, 2, 3 years.
Wow. Okay.
And it's up from here as well. Meditations, booklets, all kinds of really cool stuff to just make as much as I know accessible for folks is really my heart. And that's just a little version of my journey. So thank you for asking.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's really cool to hear the path that you have taken and how you're kind of bringing all of those things that you love and have worked for you and that community is asking for from you together. And congratulations, because I already know the process of getting to that license. So that's such a big step.
Bro,
Congratulations.
that should be a whole other care for the culture conversation we should have. Because, baby, the journey. No, listen, y'all watch, y'all don't understand
Y'all don't understand.
the journey.
Becoming a therapist is such like it's a thing.
Yeah. And it's a thing, especially if you are a
Yeah.
marginalized person trying to navigate grad school and a practicum and getting your hours in. Child, don't get me started, because I really feel like every little barrier, big and small, that I could have hit, some I jumped, some I cleared,
All of them.
and all of them though. Some of them I hit, smacked me, knocked me down, sent me back
Yeah.
10 yards. Like,
Yeah.
it's been a lot. So, but anyways, definitely want to hear about your journey and how manifesting, I mean, wellness came into life.
Yeah. It's interesting. As I was thinking about this conversation, I was like, wow, I actually was an entrepreneur before this, just not full time.
Work.
So this is actually my second go round at entrepreneurship. I had a business before this where I was selling holistic body products,
Mm-hmm.
all natural body products. And
Mm-hmm.
that was like something I loved, something I enjoyed, had been doing since I was a kid. And then finally decided to like launch it as a business. And I did that for a few
Hmm.
years. And then in 2016,
Mm-hmm.
I decided that I wanted to start running women's circles. I can't really tell
Yes.
you where that came from. It was just something I felt like I wanted to do. And so at the end of 2016, I put together this women's circle in maybe a couple months. found a space, um, put together like what I was going to do and like the plan for it and everything. And I had my first vision boarding event at the end of December in 2016. And that is how
Yes.
Manifesting Me Wellness got started. We started with a monthly women's circle.
Oh, I
It
did
began,
not know that was the
yeah,
start.
that was
Okay.
the beginning. That's how she began. At the time I was doing mental health work, working on my hours to get licensed, but this was what I was doing on the side. So I
Mm-hmm.
launched Manifesting Sisterhood was my women's circle, and
Mm.
we were meeting monthly for really until COVID,
Yeah.
right? Until the middle of 2020. I tried to go virtual for a little bit and it was okay,
Mm.
but it was a lot. And so then I kind of shut it down. But from the end of 2016, well into 2020, I was running a monthly women's circle, Manifesting Sisterhood,
Yeah.
and we did all kinds of stuff together. We would gather and have brunch, and we would talk about wellness. We would do wellness activities and everything. We went through marriages, divorces,
Hey.
baby
Yep.
showers,
Yep.
like
Yep.
everything together. And it was really beautiful. 2018, I quit my job and had
Beautiful.
no real intentions of like being in practice by myself or working for myself full time, anyways.
Yeah.
I just was done at that job and needed some time to like heal myself, my body, and study for that exam and get ready for that.
Okay.
Um, so I quit my job and I started doing that. But I kid you not, like the moment I quit my job, the amount of opportunities and conversations that started
Come
happening
on.
of
Yeah.
people like, hey, I want you to come do
Yeah.
this thing. Hey, I want you to come do this. Come do this. And I was already certified trauma informed yoga instructor. I already had my Reiki certification as well. And
Mm.
so people were offering me to come do these things that were related to mental health. Some of it was like full on into mental health. And I was like, I'm not even licensed yet. They don't care. um, so I was coming in doing teaching yoga, doing energy healing work, and also just talking about mental health and mental health advocacy in the Black and Brown communities specifically. And then I never turned back. My plan was to take 6 months off and go back to working for somebody else. But instead, I ended up launching an entire private practice,
Come on.
seeing clients, like not even like that was never the plan. And
Alignment.
completely being full entrepreneur for however many years it has been since 2018 now.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Not you
that's how Manifesting Me
accidentally
Wellness
becoming an entrepreneur.
started.
As hard as people be fighting and planning and prepping, you just tripped and fell into
I
running your own
did
business.
it. I remember like a couple weeks after I quit my job, I was telling my mom some of the stuff that was coming up, and she was like, "It's a good thing you quit that job. You don't have time."
Right.
I was like, well, "Right, I don't."
Alignment.
Yeah,
Alignment. Yeah. Yeah. It'll get the ball rolling for you in a way that nothing quite does in the same way. So I don't think that was a coincidence or an accident at all. And I really think that speaks to, I can only imagine the process you went through to get to the place where you were like, I'm going to take even just 6 months off, you
yeah,
know, like that in and of
mhm.
itself is such a courageous choice. And I think you have to be very courageous to be an entrepreneur,
So,
especially if you're doing it full time like we are. And that reminds me, even when I was at first, I was very much part time in my private practice. I was also working as a therapist at a local university.
mm,
And when I finally was like, I am just going to 100% do my own thing, I remember being so like, it felt so right. And it was also so
mm,
terrifying. So I think those just courageous moments that allow the room. You literally
Absolutely.
wouldn't have otherwise had the space and the time. So that's amazing.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I want to hear, specifically as a Black woman, what are the
Yeah.
challenges of entrepreneurship for you? Because there
Ooh
are
wee.
many.
Right. I'm like, well, now what angle do I want to come at this from? I think it in the beginning for me was a um just the resources and the
Mhm,
knowledge was
mhm,
very removed for me. And I also, as a person, and in terms of like my values and the politics that are important to me, like I felt like I needed a very specific kind of entrepreneurship
sure.
that would also be in alignment with that. And so it was a challenge to just figure out, how do I do this for myself?
Mhm,
Of course, just like the money and different things like that, having to be creative, right? I crowdsourced for my yoga teacher training.
mhm.
Um, and I think, of course, there's like the constants, um, just the way that you are seen as a Black person, as
Absolutely.
a Black woman, and what that means in terms of you being invited in for opportunities. If you are invited in, and what you're invited in for. Like, am I
Right.
there to actually offer something in a mutual reciprocity, or am I just your token, or,
Mhm.
stuff like that? Those are some of the things that come to mind for me. What about you, though?
I, all of that. All
Yeah,
of that. I
yeah,
think what you are acknowledging that really resonates with me is this idea of being able to have an entrepreneurship journey that reflects all of my morals and values.
right.
I
Right.
think when we work for other folks, there's often things that we have to show up and do, or ways that we have to present ourselves that aren't always in alignment with who we are.
Right.
And there are pieces of ourselves that don't get to show up in the room or in the space as often.
Yeah.
And as an entrepreneur, being able to, one, being able to have a platform that allows me to be myself is really important to me. But it was also finding the courage and moving through the nonsense and the noise
Yeah.
that would, that I think stops a lot of people from doing just that, right?
Ooh.
Like,
Yeah.
especially on social
Yeah.
media, especially with the amount of attention that you can easily get these days. Like, you say anything on the internet, people are on it, right? And I think for me, a lot of it was also like moving through the anxiety and the worry and the
Oh,
concern of,
yeah.
if I
Yeah.
say these things, even though
Yeah.
they're very in alignment with my values, even though it is exactly how many people in my community feel,
Yeah.
what does that mean business wise for me?
Yeah.
What is that going to mean money wise for me? Right? Like, is that going to attract opportunities, or is that going to repel opportunities?
Ooh.
And how do
Ooh.
I feel about that? And how do I want to navigate that? I think that was a big thing for me for a while. It's like, how much do I want to also be an activist in this
Mm-hmm.
space? How much
Mm-hmm.
do I also want to be like pro whatever I am pro, right, in this
Right.
space, and anti whatever I am anti in this space? And what does that mean?
Yeah.
And how do I stand in that and also keep like myself together and be okay knowing that there are going to be moments when it's not going to go very well for some people. People are not going to like it.
Right. Right.
And other people are going to love
Yeah.
it. And it's
That
going to be
part.
exactly what folks are looking for. But you also
Yes.
don't know sometimes. And so I think that was one of the big challenges for me. The other thing that I find myself constantly dealing with is just figuring out how to be in balance with my health, because again, quit that job so I could get myself together health wise, and everything blew up in a very beautiful way. But I think entrepreneurship also invites you into working in a way that you don't when you work for other people, like the amount of hours and time and effort. I
Yeah.
have to be really mindful of how I'm taking care of myself in a way that I didn't have to as much in another job. Like I was very clear when I clock out and that was fine.
Right.
But when there are no clock in, clock out hours, and
Right.
now that I'm also supervising and I have people working for me, like I might have to show up in other hours because I
Mm-hmm.
need to be available to the folks that work for me,
Right.
right? So
Right.
um, I think that's also been a challenge for me. It's just navigating my own health and wellness while taking care of this business.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I so feel that the authenticity piece, or that's what came up for me, was a really huge thing of like, I chose this pathway because I wanted to show up as myself. Like, ooh, me and a typical job, we just don't get
Right.
along. I don't want to dress right. I don't want to talk right. I want to see who I want to see when I want to see them. Um,
Absolutely.
but and it does put a different sort of responsibility on you then when you're the one who is deciding how and when you show up. And so how do I do
Right.
that in a way that honors what I'm trying to do? And also, this is under capitalism, so I need the dollars to come in at the same
Right. I
time.
still need
um
these bills to get paid.
yeah, yeah. And even as entrepreneurs, something else for me that is a constant sort of ebb and flow challenge is, again, like, we do have certain legal and
Yes.
bureaucratical, if that's a word, like things that we have to work within still at the same time. And so there have been plenty of times where I feel like my activism or my political values or even just how I move and show up as a person feels in conflict even with like the dominant culture or what is expected as a therapist. Like for a while that was a big
Absolutely.
challenge for me. It's like I want to be a therapist, and I know for a fact that when someone is just looking or talking to me off the bat, they're not necessarily thinking therapist. And
Yeah.
so does that mean that I need to present more of like what a therapist is supposed to look like? Or am I like, fuck it, and I shift that and I show up in authenticity? And, you know, spoiler alert, it's the second option for me every day.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that kind of stuff is hard because it's a
Yeah.
risk, and it's trusting yourself in a way that you don't have to do in the same sort of way when you're just kind of fit into a already established place or institution as
Absolutely.
something like that. And so that piece can be hard.
Mhm.
And just the
Mhm.
logistics, like you got to keep clients, you have to keep clients for yourself and the people you're supervising. And these are all things that we're juggling at any time, which is why the hours can easily go around the
Oh,
clock because,
absolutely.
yeah, yeah,
But there's always something else that needs to be done. There's
always.
always, especially I think starting out, like you are the marketing team, you are the administrative team, you are the face of the company, like
Yes,
you are everything.
you're the social media manager.
Yes,
You're the one, yeah, creating the products or whatever. Like, yeah,
everything.
yeah.
Everything is on you. But
Oh my gosh.
eventually, hopefully, you get to the point where you can start
Yes.
delegating and
Shout
hiring
out to my
and things
assistant.
of that nature. Yeah, right, exactly. Mine too, because there's no way
No way.
otherwise. Uh,
No way.
yeah.
It also can be a thing though, and something that's still, it's like a beautiful moment that still has to be in
Mm,
right relationship. But especially in the beginning when you're just trying to build literally everything from the ground up, I also just loved and feel so passionate about it that it would be something where I just get lost in it for hours.
yeah.
When I was in grad school, I was child working these grave shifts at a youth shelter, and I would just be like, like working on stuff all night, wake up, start working on it again, which
Mm-hmm.
is like a great
Yeah.
thing because you're pouring into something that you love, but you do also have to learn when it's time to be like, okay, and we need a break. We're
Break.
closing the
Right.
laptop. We're walking away. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah. I had the same experience in the beginning. It was very much like, oh, this is feeling good, and I'm just leaning into things. And then the business stuff starts to really hit, and that becomes like, I can't just create the whole time. I actually have to do some business stuff. I have to make sure that the business stays up and running. And I think that was the part that was the challenge for me.
yeah,
I could create all day. I
right,
could come up with ideas and plan community events, which that's what I was doing in the early stages, was a lot of community
right,
work, and I loved it. But then, like, making sure that things were getting paid and paid off, and making sure the website is running and all of that kind of stuff,
mm-hmm.
I had to, like, okay, you really need to make some time for these things as well.
Yeah, yeah.
I think a lot of times we want to do the thing that we enjoy, not necessarily want to be a business owner. But
Ooh,
in order to do the things that you enjoy, you also have to run the business.
for real. That was such a hurdle because I feel differently about it now, but if you would have asked me, 6, 7 years ago, I would tell you I do not have a business head. I work with feelings, not
Right.
numbers. All of the
Same.
jargon was just a really big learning curve. And that made me wonder though, like, when did you make your business in the eyes of this framework like official? And what
Mhm.
was that like for you to like file the paperwork and now the
Mhm.
name is yours? And
Mhm.
I don't know, just even that little piece. Yeah.
Yeah, so I actually did that a couple times. So I originally was just a sole proprietor, and then in 2018, when I decided to really go full time,
Yeah.
I when I finally decided, because I quit my job in like April, and I didn't finally decide to go full time until December because I was taking time off, and I swear I was going back to work. But in December that year, I was like, okay, like, you're not going back to work. Like, claim the name. So I
Mm,
went for a DBA, doing business ads, and I did that.
yeah.
And then in 2021, 2022, one of those, I went and got a full incorporation because I was looking to hire people,
Mm,
and I didn't want to do that as a
yeah.
DBA. So then I went S Corp in 2021 or 2022. Every single time I did it, though, it was like so exciting. And I was like both scared and nervous, but also super
Yeah.
excited. And I wish the people that I turned the paperwork into were way more excited.
Right. You want to
I
celebrate
wanted
with the
to like
clerk.
turn it good and they'll be like, congratulations. And they were not, and I was upset.
Right. They should have like a confetti button for when you turn it
Something.
in.
I need balloons.
Right.
I wanted streamers. I wanted a party. And they were just like, here you go. And I was like, oh,
Right.
that was it? Like,
They do
they
not care.
don't get
Next.
it. Every day.
Right.
So yeah, that
Totally.
was, yeah. What about
Oh
you?
my gosh. So, I was fresh out of graduate school when I
Mhm.
made mine official. So that was 20, maybe like 2019,
Okay.
maybe. Don't quote me. But I remember that being just such a big moment. Like I remember filling out the paperwork and figuring out. I think I remember feeling like this can't be real. That you have to like have
Mhm.
your, because I'm a sole proprietor, but you have to have your name in the newspaper for like a couple of weeks or
Right.
whatever. I was like, there's no way in 2019 that I have to really have my name in a newspaper. But it was like, no, you do. Um, and that also it was such a huge moment. Turning in
Mhm.
the papers to file felt like a big moment, and so was when I like opened a proper business banking account.
Oh, yes.
And feeling like, oh my God, girl, when I got the card with the well healing on it, I said, we are official.
That was, yeah, that was everything. The people at the bank were
Everything.
way more excited than the people at the government
Always.
building. The people at the bank were like,
Right.
congratulations.
They're happy because they're like, we about to have your money.
Right.
Right. But
Yeah, the bank
yeah,
solidified it.
yeah, yeah. That's when I think I for real like felt like that bitch. Like you can't
Yeah.
tell me I'm not official. Whip out the well healings card, swipe. Like you know,
Not that anybody is ever looking at it. Don't nobody
no one.
ask, but it feels good to me.
Right. That's always the point. How it makes you feel.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was super exciting. And I know we're a little over time, but I'm enjoying this so much. Would love to know this, just like where do you see yourself growing into, or what are maybe
Oh,
any hopes or intentions that you have for your business now?
oh, heavy hitter
Ooh,
questions. I think that's something I'm figuring out.
hmm,
If
yeah,
I can be really, really transparent,
please.
manifesting me wellness has had many lives since 2016.
Mm-hmm.
We've done a lot of different things. I think right now what's feeling good is coming back into the community work now that it feels safe and comfortable and a little bit more settled into like going back out into doing stuff in person. Because I really haven't been doing much in person since 2020. If no, I haven't been doing anything. This year was the first year I did anything in person. I did my first speaking engagement in person last month since 2019. So I think going back in person, doing some more community work feels really good and really
Yeah.
important. Um, but outside of that, I don't really know. Outside of that, my oh, my world is taking me to different places, and I will continue to be a therapist. I will continue to work in the realm of wellness, and I think that is expanding, and what that looks like will continue to grow. I'm really feeling like leaning into this title that I created for myself, a holistic healing arts therapist. Like I'm really leaning into some of the other healing arts.
Yes.
And I'm not quite sure what that means or looks like yet, but what I do know in this moment is going to look like not just being a therapist. And
Yes.
I don't know, that might pull me. I'm not going to say it's going to pull me away from manifesting me wellness, but it might pull me into some other offerings that will not be under that umbrella, because
Yes.
they cannot be under that umbrella with the type of work I do under that umbrella. As a therapist, there's just certain things I can't do in that business.
Sure.
So yeah, I haven't said that out loud to anybody yet.
Aw, well, thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I feel like I will know soon. My spirit is telling me that I will know sometime in spring what's coming, and we'll see.
Yeah. You're new year.
Yeah, it's my
No, I
year.
love that.
It's spring or like March or April. Yes,
Yeah.
life is happening.
Yeah. No, I really appreciate you sharing that. And I love you leaning into all of the parts of you.
Mm,
Because you're not just a
yeah,
therapist. We're not just therapists. And so I'm really excited to see what that becomes.
thank
And
you.
I think even like allowing ourselves sometimes to not have the answers just makes space for something even more creative and divine to come about, that we didn't even have mapped out or on our radar. And
Absolutely.
so
Absolutely.
I love that, and I'm so excited for you.
Thank you.
Um,
What
because
about
I
for
so
you?
appreciate. Oh, yeah. Well, I was gonna say I so appreciate also I wasn't a part of every phase, but I remember you selling the oils and I remember attending like a workshop that you did and stuff like that.
Yes.
So I'm excited for yeah, what's coming down the line. And
Mm.
also side note, we should talk about maybe like collabing on a sisterhood circle. We'll talk about that later. Um um, what do I hope for the well healing? Well, now that I'm licensed,
You're right. Come on.
it
She's
feels,
official, y'all.
I don't know, it feels like there's a lot of possibility. I definitely think that I want to grow into a position where I can support other like Black and queer therapists, healers,
Yes.
clinicians
Yes.
to come into this world and come into it their way. So that's something big on my mind. And also want to just continue doing more of what I'm doing, less maybe like individual one-on-one therapy, and maybe similarly but different, want to be in larger spaces where there can be just more community conversations. I think the one-on-one
Yeah.
space is important, and I think also like this places where we can all come together and commune and learn from each other is so important too. And so I
Absolutely.
have, yeah, all kinds of ideas of what that can look like for Black and queer folks, especially and particularly, but we shall see. I feel so much excitement and inspiration about the possibility, though. So I'll
Hmm.
keep y'all updated as I know.
Yeah. I'm excited to see how everything unfolds for you. There's something getting that license, it takes up so much time, energy, and effort. But like once you have it, it feels like, oh, okay, now what? Like there's so
Right.
many opportunities there.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see where you land and what comes up, and excited about maybe doing some collaboration and see where we can go. Because I know so much of our visions have been in alignment for so long.
Yeah.
So that'll be
Right.
cool too.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, I'm so happy that you have made the choices that you have that brought you to
Mhm.
here, and
Thank you.
for being another just really incredible example of what's possible for Black people, Black femmes, Black women who want to walk through this world in our own way. Like for me, that's essentially what entrepreneurship comes down to, is
Absolutely.
taking control in the ways that I can and having authority and agency over my life in the ways that I can. So
Absolutely.
love to see reflections of that out here that remind me as well that like it's possible. So
Yeah.
thank you.
And in so many different ways, because even when our visions are in alignment with somebody else's, it looks very, very
Right.
different. Our businesses do a lot of the same things and are uniquely different in so many ways. And I think that's important that we remind ourselves too, because especially with social media, everything can feel really saturated. And it can be really easy to determine that, like, what I have to offer is not good enough,
Yes,
or
yes,
is not
yes.
unique enough, but it is. And whoever you are, whatever your gift is, whatever you are inspired to bring into this world, like the world needs it.
Yeah. Period. Period.
Yeah.
All of
It
that.
ain't easy though. Let's
No, it's
It's tough.
not. Don't get that part confused.
It's tough.
But it's worth it if
But
this
it
is
is
where you're
worth it.
supposed to be. Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
Oh, I'm so excited we had this conversation. I feel like we could do a part two and talk more. So
Yeah,
maybe we'll do that one day as well.
yeah.
But for now, thank y'all for listening. Do we want to share anything with the community before we leave, Kayla?
I do have a really awesome IG live planned with her name is Manelli. Instagram is at Yoga with Manelli. I shared in the first Care for the Culture, but in case you missed it, all year long, the Well Healing is talking about care as a
Mm-hmm.
practice, how to make it a way of being, make it a lifestyle, not something you do when you're burnt out or whatever. And so we're starting all this first quarter just talking about building that up, which starts with awareness. And so Manelli is an incredible meditation and yoga teacher who is going to be kikiing with us about how to build awareness, why awareness matters in our relationship with care, self-care,
Mm-hmm.
community care. And so that's going to be on the 19th. So would
Okay.
love for y'all to come and be there on the live with us or watch it later. But yeah, that's coming up soon.
Yeah, go check that out on the 19th. Sounds like a really amazing conversation. Yeah, join, follow, um, and also just listen in, because I think part of what we are doing in having these conversations, Care for the Culture, and some of the other conversations, is just witnessing other folks that look like us really being in their work and
Yeah.
really being in their own
Yeah.
care. And so just listen in,
Yeah.
like just pay attention, notice what comes up for you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have anything. I am still waiting for my new year to begin. But I am so thankful for all of y'all being here, whether you were here live with us or you are watching the replay. Thank you for continuing to ride with us, and we will see y'all next month.
See you next
Take
month. For all the
care.
lovers, happy Valentine's
Oh,
Day
yeah, huh?
too. Yeah, whatever. But yeah, if you're if you're into that,
Totally forgot.
that part. Same. All
Bye,
right,
y'all.
girl. I'll
Take
see ya.
care.
Bye.